Hey guys, Tattoo for Your Richard. I'm back. It's still Monday, and this is kind of a real quick Q&A update part 2 because I made a boo-boo. A boo-boo. I somehow, and it wasn't there a second ago, but it was there. It says 6 days ago, so it was there, and somehow it got missed, and I don't understand how. Things were glitching a minute ago because I tried to comment on a thing and it wouldn't show up, blah, 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 whatever. Hereseyproductionz, I apologize, sir. You asked me a question and it got missed. I'm really sorry. I'm going to go ahead and answer that now. Please forgive me because you are awesome, my friend. Well, why didn't you say something to me when I missed it? I blame you. I blame you.
I wasn't paying attention. I thought you read it already.
Okay. Sorry, dude. Love Space Harrier also had a Master System. I believe there was a game called Quartet. I don't remember that one. I don't remember that game. I liked as well. What paints have you used so far? Which brands are your favorite and why? That is a good question. I've used Games Workshop paints. I've used Vallejo. I've used I actually have Secret Weapon miniatures games or whatever it is. Some of their inks that I got. I've used I haven't used Minotaur. I have a new Minotaur paint. I haven't tried that yet. I've used Vallejo's airbrush paints were really good. I use craft paints. Apple Barrel, Folk Art, and a couple other different ones. What else? What else paints have I used? I haven't used any Privateer Press, but I've heard good things about them. I haven't used any Army Painter. I use Liquitex wash ink, like dropper bottle ink, and I use ink for pens. I use okay, honey, it's not quite lunchtime. You ate. Just give me a minute. Okay? I use Winsor Newton inks for my washes. What else? Yeah, so I've tried all those. My favorite paints, you're going to hate me, and probably a lot of people will hate me because of this. And I just had a long conversation about this with somebody on Facebook. I use craft paints. I like them. Apple Barrel craft paints are awesome in my opinion. Vallejo rocks, right out of the bottle, Vallejo rocks. It's a good paint. It's an awesome paint. It goes on smooth and stuff like that. You thin it down a little bit, it goes on great. You add a little thin, it goes through a paint airbrush great. Craft paints, the same thing for me. They go through an airbrush great. I thin them down, they work great. They're great paints. Apple Barrel. Folk Art I'm not a fan of. Their pigment system is different.
Ava.
But, yeah, I like my Apple Barrel and my Vallejo. Those are my two go-to paints. And I don't just use Apple Barrel for terrain. I mean, here, I'll show you right now. We'll do a showcase on them, but I'm going to go ahead and show them off now. Hulk. This is a crappy camera, but that is entirely... I only used one non-craft paint on him. So I need the computer light to light him up. And that was the only thing I used that wasn't computer paint is in his shirt. I used Baneblade Brown from Games Workshop as the base color on the black. And then I went up from there, all craft paint. And honestly, like I said, this camera doesn't do it justice, but it's good. It goes on good. It's an awesome paint. I thin it down with either water works okay, but it thins it down differently. But I'll use airbrush cleaner or I'll use witch hazel to thin it down a little bit. And it goes on good. And sometimes out of the bottle, I'll leave it just straight and do it on there too. I mean, yeah, that's what I use and all that fun stuff. And I got a bit of flack about it the other day It wasn't overly negative. He was just the person was just trying to convince me to pick Army Painter, go buy Army Painter stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I want to try their paints. I'm sure they're great, but I'm happy with using paints that I can get for 50 cents a bottle, as opposed to paints I have to pay $5 a bottle for, $3 or $4 a bottle for, whatever they cost on average. I don't know. There are tons of talented individuals out there. I am by no means a phenomenal painter. But I mean, I think I do pretty decent work. And I always look at it, and I've always done this, that the talent doesn't come out of the bottle. The bottle of paint is not where your talent is. The talent is in the person doing the work. And the person doing the work, as long as they've practiced, they've worked hard, they've tried and failed, that person is where the talent comes from. Your hand and your mind and your eyes are where you're going to get your talent from. I use tattoos as an example. I know tons of cats who will go and spend $400, $500 on tattoo machines, $600 some of them, and they still can't lay a straight line or pop a good fade. And wasn't a phenomenal tattoo artist, but I'm not a slouch either. I was a pretty decent tattoo artist in my day. But my machines were old frames that I was hand-me-downs from friends, coils that were hand-me-downs from friends, and I built machines that way. I bought parts kits online from different tattoo distributors and put my kits together, my machines together that way. And I called them Frankensteins. I didn't use the most expensive coils. I didn't use the most expensive springs, and I could put out good work, you know? Yeah, paying all that money for extra stuff, you're going to get good quality stuff that you may not need tinkering with here and there, but seriously, the talent comes from the individual, not your tools help you in it, but the talent is in you, in the person doing it. And I'm not hating on anybody who does buy the expensive stuff or anything like that. I hope that didn't come across that way. I apologize if it did. But use what you got and what you can to do what you enjoy. That's the kicker. That is the biggest thing. And like I said, for me, I use craft paints and Vallejo and cheap brushes. The cheap brushes, yeah, that's a bummer because I go through them a lot. And I would love to get more expensive, fancier brushes, but I can't afford it. I have these guys to take care of. So, again, I hope that didn't come off super negative. I definitely didn't want it that way, but I just want to explain like my views on the situation and how I feel about it and what I do. And that's what I do. I have a couple of decent brushes that I like, and I take good care of them to make them last a while. But my brushes didn't cost me $8 a brush. I would say they probably cost me a couple bucks a brush. Well, it's still, in my opinion, is expensive for a piece of wood and hair. But, yeah, I mean, use what you got. The talent comes from you anyway. If something's harder to work with, just figure it out. Sit down, take the time. You can make it work, and you can make it work in your advantage. So anyway, I apologize again if that came off wrong. I didn't want it to come off that way. I definitely didn't want to say that. Just my opinions and views on painting and paints to use and stuff. I paint on canvas too, and I don't use like Winsor Newton paints and things like that. I've got basic paint. It's literally called basic. You get them for like a couple bucks a tube. $5, I think, for the white and the black. They're more expensive. But I can't afford like and those basics are like big bottles, where like Winsor Newton paints this big cost me $6, $7 a bottle. And I use what you can to keep your hobby up and rock it out. And I guarantee if you keep trying to keep practicing, whoever you are, you're gonna get better at it. You'll learn to use your tools in the best way you can. I mean, yeah. So Palmer, I'm really sorry I missed your question on the first time, but hey, you get your own video, dude. because you're awesome, and I love you, and you're amazing, and I thank you, sir. Thank you so, so much for the question. Again, I'm sorry I missed it, and I hope it was a decent answer. We love you guys. We want to say thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
And have a happy and wonderful nerd life, my friends. We're not singing the song this time. Yes, happy nerd life. We'll see you later. Take care.